Hello everyone and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 119. Now, I'm going to figure out what in the world the date is, because I forgot. Alright, it is January 24th, 2016. Woohoo! Good thing I'm using my computer. I'd like to... I'm glad you could join me today. I'm recording outside today. It's really lovely, but pretty blustery, so hopefully it's not too crazy. And I was just going to record with the t-shirt, and then I just kept adding knitting. So the coffee is warm and delicious, and hopefully everything works out. Okay. Apparently I don't have enough room on that chair in order to actually place my coffee there. So I guess I'll start with this one because it's towards the top. I am working on the Everdeen socks, which is a pattern by Yavanna Reynolds. And I have a repeat of a charted. What is it? So this is Dragonfly Fibers Dragon Sock in the deep colorway, and I think it's probably working out. If you get everything stretched up, I don't think the pattern ends up getting lost. And that's probably the hardest side to see. This one I think is not bad at all. So I think it'll be okay. So now, what is it? So I'm almost done with the first repeat. I'm assuming I have to do a few before I can, do a couple until it reaches a length I like, I suppose. Or is an appropriate number of repeats long. But it is coming along. What is it? I'm sort of bummed about the blue because it ends up, when I have like shades of green all together, it actually does look pretty good, but when you have the blue mixed in there, it's a little bit less good, but I think it works. The only mod I've done to the pattern so far is added an extra rest row between cables, because it was just too much trying to cable that way, and so since it's in the round, it's not like it's a big deal. And it is coming along. I'm like more than halfway through the repeat now, so that's good. So it's been getting a little bit love. What is it? It seems like it's actually been a pretty low knitting week for me, for whatever reason, so such is life. So that is for the Sock Knitter's Resolution Cal, and it's using the oldest skein of yarn in my stash, and it's using a pattern I bought that I haven't knit yet. So I think at this point it'll go, and we'll see where it goes from there. The other thing I'm working on is pretty deep in my bag, so hopefully I can get at it. I had to gather like quite the bag of stuff to bring outside. Alright, now unfortunately I'm in the middle of the row right now, but this is my Aeolian. It is an Elizabeth Freeman pattern, and how close am I to being done with said row? I don't know, we could just work on it. So yesterday I ended up going to the bead store and buying 2 more tubes of beads. I would have been fine with the 3 tubes, I believe, but since I decided to make to add repeats to sections, this meant that it wasn't enough, and then I lost my tube of beads with my crochet hook, which then meant I didn't even have enough beads if I had if I had made the original size. Yeah. So, let's see. I am a couple rows into the edge setup chart now, or that sort of thing. It is, or what is it? So I ended up finishing the last row with beads, which basically is transitioning from the agave into the edge chart. And then I have a couple of rows with no beads at all, which I think will end up going pretty fast. Knitting with beads really slows me down quite a lot. So, so to have a couple of rows where I don't need to worry about beads and that sort of thing is super duper nice. So this is, let's see, so the pattern is Aeolian. The yarn, which is by Elizabeth Freeman, the yarn is Miss Babs Katadyn in the Baird's Whale colorway, which is all sorts of, it's a very tonal gray, and on the later end of gray as well. And then I am using, what is it? So I'm using Toho seed beads in the Salem. Oh, I don't know, whatever. It's in whatever, a smoke colorway, so to speak. Yeah, I know I'm more than halfway done with the pearl back row. So I ended up getting a couple of rows done on this, and honestly this is probably the closest thing I have to completion, I think. Obviously enough, I haven't finished anything this week, so that's also, well, I guess I did finish one thing this week, so that was a lie. Don't mind me. But this is probably my knitting project that's closest to completion. The socks are perhaps less total stitches, but are still, well, they're not very mindless. You have to have the chart, you have to be cabling, and then I added the extra complication of some rows are rest rows and some rows are not. But it's not the end of the world. Whereas this is perhaps a little bit more chill, but a very bad carry-around project. So it is just the case where it's hard to be on the move and working on this project because of the beads, so many beads. Like, I don't think the pattern ended up really photographing how ridiculously beaded this whole thing is. So, but what was it? I think I've been spending my home crafting time actually spinning this week, so that meant that I did not have nearly as much knitting stuff done. And because this is one of those home projects at the moment, it ends up making it a little, or this is probably just going to be a home project for the time until it's done, and probably a knitting group project as well. Since it's fine for that, because you're, whatever, you can tell people to be quiet if you need to concentrate on something. So it's slowly but surely coming along. It's increasing in drama for a little while, but it's fairly mindless to knit, so I think I have a lot of easy rows until we start getting ridiculous with the beads. I think that's the only way to describe what's going to be happening in the later parts of the chart, is that it just starts to get ridiculous with beads. So perhaps I didn't even get enough beads by buying 2 more tubes, but I guess I'm optimistic. It's the bead store is really super duper close to work, so it ends up making it pretty easy to just quick drop by. And depending on what's going on, generally the bead store is open for me to reach it in time, like after work and that sort of thing. So, I'm not sure what else I want to say about this. So I guess I'm just enjoying knitting. That's fine. I was hoping to get more done on this, but ended up having a knitting group fail this Friday. So it was the case where like send out the forum post, and then I got a quick reply of no, and then I didn't get the second reply of no until I'd already arrived. So I ended up sticking around for a while and spinning while watching, the East Coast freak out about all the snow. Luckily in Texas, the weather is pretty lovely. You can see the blue sky reflected in the window, so this is about as close as I can get to showing you guys the sky, I think. I don't know. Maybe there'd be a way to point the podcast or whatever, point the direction of things another way, but I don't really have, or none of my patio areas really end up being set up right for the blinding bright light, like whatever my house in Indiana was, where being at the edge of the patio and being in the shade, you could still see the great outdoors. Whereas here, not so much. Almost went through. So apparently the rows are taking a long time now, so perhaps this is still very far from being done, but I'm hopeful. It doesn't necessarily, to explain my own craziness is that when I have too many projects on the needles, I'm not finishing things fast enough for my own needs, you know what I mean? So it'd be the case where it isn't that I really want to cast on something new as much as it is I really want something to be done so it can be done. But when you have so many projects on the needles and you're spreading your love around to all of them, then the apparent speed is far slower than the desired speed. But, yeah, such is life. And what I ended up doing today was getting my sweater to a good point. So, let's figure out how to get it out of the which one is actually my sweater. There we go. Okay. So, I ended up, or what was it? So I was trying to figure out the best way to basically ease in the extra stitches I added to the front. And so I ended up taking them all up within the armhole parts of it. And this is Mulled Cider by Thea Coleman, and I'm knitting it out of my chocolate shell and fleece, which is hand spun. And it's nice and long. I still have a couple of more inches to go, because it's a coat. But it should fly at least for a little while, because I am now in a part where I can just go back and forth, without thinking too deeply on the matter. So this sweater is almost halfway done now, and it'll probably be living in my project bag for the next couple of days. I had to take it out of my project bag because I had to figure out where I was supposed to be starting the sleeve, and I did like row counting, and then I measured it, and it measured correctly, and it didn't seem like I did anything horrible in order to make it measure correctly, so I cast off. So this is looking pretty good and pretty smooth, so that's nice. And now I just need to do armholes, and they might actually be a little bit different length than the back, I guess. So it'd be the case for your armholes are here and whatever, breasts. So we'll figure it out along the way, but it's supposed to go to like your collarbone or something like that, and I think at this point I'm not there. And probably it's actually sitting a little bit lower than that. in the real thing. So we shall see. Yeah, no, it seems like it's showing up on the right spot on my body, but you guys can't see because it's out of frame. So that's coming along. I'm glad I finally got past that part because it's no fun when, like, you just need to like take some time and get it to the like figure out what you're gonna do, get it to the right place. And since I was modifying things, I just wanted to finish all of the rows that were different. So then I could like do the thing where I have been doing before, where I can pick it up and put it down at will and not have it be a big deal. Yeah. So, so it's back in a good spot for mindless knitting, at least for a little bit longer, and then I can, start the next steps, which I think are like the collar and casting off for the shoulders and all that other fun stuff. But it's still a little bit a ways. Maybe it won't take me too long to get to that point, and then I can start the left front. And we'll figure out if all of these modifications work. Okay, on to spinning. So, as I mentioned earlier, most of my at-home crafting time was spent spinning this week, so I ended up finishing the first half of the singles for the Hita Fude. So this is Alicia Goes Around in the, I don't even know what colorway it is. I'm calling it the Mallard colorway because it has purples, it has greens, it has teals, and it also has some blues in there as well, and it's just turning out super crazy showing it on the camera, but oh well. So this is the first 4 ounces, and this is the next 4 ounces, which is still unspun. It is 65% superfine merino and 35% silk, and hopefully it ends up getting decent yardage. I'm going to be basically spinning from the other end of the braid and basically retracing my steps. So hopefully it makes this really pretty gradient that'll go green, blue, purple, blue, green on the sweater itself. So I'm hopeful. It's as big as my head. But I always find it amazing that this much fiber fits on this little bobbin. So they should be about the same. I guess I did more of the eyeball method of splitting it in half than the weigh it method of splitting it in half, but I think it'll end up being a really pretty gradient spin, all things considered. So this is a part of my spin the bin, and this is my first bin spin for the year. So I'm running a little slow for January, but I did have a couple of 8-ounce things in my bin, so this is the first 8-ounce thing I had in there, and yeah, it ends up working out. So this will probably be going on the wheel pretty soon. I ended up having a pit stop, which ended up delaying getting it put on, and it's been spinning really fast, which is nice. Now what I finished is the Hello Yarn. So, yay! This is, and I'll actually pull out the last thing I finished as well. So, so I ended up splitting it up into 2. So this one was all of the yellows, and this one was all of the purples. So I ended up getting, I got about 200 yards of the yellow, and I ended up getting 335 of the purple. So I think it's the case where this is about 2.7 and this is about 1.3 ounces. So, and I ended up, this one appears to be plied a bit harder than its yellow counterpart. I think that is because I ended up having my fast flyer on the Lenderum. So I applied this on the Lenderum, I spun it on my Jenkins Lark. So I think it ends up having pretty similar squish factor, and the plan is to actually combine the two into a project. So I am looking forward to that. And this one still needs a bath. I finished it, plying it last night. I like pretty much immediately went from spun singles to starting to ply it together. I just plied from both ends of my turtles. So it was the case where I started with my second turtle and the inside of the first one, and what is it? And then when I ran out of the smaller turtle, then I replied from both ends of the bigger one. So it ended up working out pretty good. So this is due for a bath along with some of my other things, but I'm really glad to get this done because this is something that I've been working on since July. And probably my next spindle project will be the silk hankies, which is one of my next spin the bin things, but I'll probably finish my current spin before I start that one and maybe something else. We'll see. I guess there's extra motivation for finishing things in a timely manner. Alright, so excited about that. So what, I was like 500 some yards out of 4 ounces, so it's pretty light. And what is it? It has a really good feel. What is it? Falkland is a region instead of a type of sheep, so it's probably really Polworth. You know how it goes. So really, really soft, really fun fiber to spin. So I may have, whatever, renewed my faith in Hello Yarn. Okay, so there are some stash positions. I totally forgot to show this last week, but this was fiber I ended up getting as a part of Spin the Bin. So I ended up receiving this from Mulberry Fibers because she was in the Use It or Lose It, and she lost it, unfortunately. And this is Funky Carolina, which is Veda Bliss at Etsy.com, and this is Superwash BFL in the Orchard colorway. So it is greens, yellows, maroons, and where some things come together, there's also some brown as well. And this is like super duper ridiculous soft. It is very, very nice. I don't think I've ever spun Superwash BFL before, so it will very likely become socks, because I think that's what things like that are supposed to be turned into. But it was super duper sweet that she sent it. I still need to photograph and whatnot, but whatever, and put up a thank you in the threads for her donating that. So that was super duper cool. And I've never tried spinning her stuff before, so that will be an exciting time. And then I ended up picking up a skein from the Sassy Sheep. So this is, what is it? 6-ply, 100% superwash merino, and it's a fairly light fingering, all things considered. So this is 750 yards of variegated, and so it ends up having a variety of colors in it. It probably wouldn't, looking at it this way, it doesn't look like it would be a good candidate for planned pooling, but it should be interesting to play around with. It looks like some tonalness in it as well, so we shall see. Like, I ended up picking it up for a song, which is why it seemed like it was a pretty good idea, all things considered. So, well, I think it, or what was it, turned out they were going out of business or that sort of thing, and they had everything 20% off, so that ended up making it pretty reasonable. So, not sure if I'm going to go for what is it? Some sort of shawl that needs that looks really good with a short color repeat multi like Penmate, or was it Panmuna? Panmuna? Yeah. Apparently I'm not pronouncing things very well today, so that was another acquisition. And I decided to participate in the completely twisted and arbitrary spin-along. And I ended up picking up 2 braids. So this one here is BFL, and the colorway is Color Music, and it was based on a Georgia O'Keeffe painting. And so really fun colors. BFL is obviously intended for socks, and this is probably what I'm going to actually spin during the duration of the spin-along. It ends the 31st of March, so I do have a decent amount of time. And then I ended up picking up Mirror Lake, and I got this as, what is it? This is 80% merino, 20% tussa silk. And so definitely maybe more on the pastel end than I would normally go for, but all sorts of really pretty colors, and it feels so good and soft on the head. So I'm sort of wondering if I want to do a single out of this. I've never done a single before, so that's my puzzle at the moment, is if I want to do something like that or not. But this is my first time getting things from Blue Otter Farms. I was so bummed I didn't end up participating in the last time she had a spin-along, and really seemed to go above and beyond on the customer service end. For, like, when I made my Etsy purchase, I ended up getting a message from her like, "Welcome, I'm so glad you decided to try me out," and for the spin-along and all the other stuff. So really ended up sort of changing the paradigm of like internet sales, if you know what I mean. So it would be the case where whatever, you send off your PayPal information and then things come in the mail, and so she made it a lot more like you were dealing with a local yarn shop, if that makes any sense. So really impressed me. So I'm sure the quality of the fiber is freaking amazing, and it'll be a fun adventure to spin this. These are just so bright and happy. And there's a little bit of orange, so I'm sort of getting out of the comfort zone a bit. So that was a lot of stash positions this week. Technically speaking, this fiber arrived last week, and I totally forgot to put it in the podcast pile, but it was a week of spinning, that's for sure. So, yeah, such is life. Let's see. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I think I'm drawing a blank. I should be able to record next week. Next week will be the 31st, and shouldn't be any problem at all in order to record then. Trying to think if there is other things I wanted to mention or not. Yeah, I'm totally drawing a blank, so it must mean the episode's over. So, with that, is it. I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.